Coming up on the September 26th edition of Sports Extra, the Heels had to use every last second of the clock in their win this weekend against Pittsburgh.
Amid national protests at sporting events, UNC students took a stand by taking a seat.
The Carolina field hockey team stuck it to the opponents, taking down two powerhouses. All that and so much more. Sports Extra starts
right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Media and Journalism, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics, this is Sports Extra.
Comebacks, upsets, and everything in between. Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm Peyton Walker.
And I'm Caleb Waters. What a wild weekend for Tar Heels across the board. Let's start with a critical Coastal Division showdown for the football team. The Heels face visiting Pittsburgh in Keenan on Saturday, and UNC needed all 60 minutes to pull out the win in an instant classic. A bit of a sluggish defensive start kept the Heels behind the Panthers for a majority of Saturday's game. A few hard hits to Mitch Trubisky, ouch, that looks like it hurts. And turnovers like this fumble put the Heels down 13 points at the half. So let's call on Mr. Mitch Trubisky to save the day with some perfectly placed throws like this one to backpack Mac Hollins for the TD to keep the Heels in the action. With Pitt up 13 in the fourth quarter, Trubisky to Howard cuts the lead to 6. Then, with seconds left, no, this is not the same clip we just showed you. Bug Howard, go up and get it. His second of the day, Heels win in spectacular fashion.
Everybody believed, man. We had some fans like leaving and stuff. And people was giving up on us, man, after they scored that last touchdown.
That thrilling finish. Let's bring in football analyst Paul Bean. How are you feeling watching that last drive, Paul?
Peyton, the craziest thing about that drive was just how methodical the Tar Heel offense looked. Carolina can be incredibly fast and efficient. The Heels ranked 24th in the nation in total offense, despite being ranked 123rd in time of possession. For Carolina to go on a massive 17-play drive that lasted 3.5 minutes to finish the game was unreal. This drive was all about Mitch Trubisky converting on fourth down. He just wouldn't let the Heels go down. There's a dime to Ryan Switzer in between two Pitt defenders to convert on fourth. 3 plays later, Trubisky drops another dime into Austin Proehl on a beautiful comeback route. Let's get a better look at it. Trubisky reads the corner and releases the ball before Proehl has even turned around. That's a textbook throw on a tough timing route. Well done to keep the driver alive. 3 plays later, another fourth down. The throw's a little high, but Switzer uses all of that 5-foot 10-inch frame to snag the pass. The Heels converted on 3 straight fourth downs. All right, let's fast forward a little bit to 30 seconds left in the game. Remember, the Heels have 0 timeouts, and they're down 6, so they have to score a touchdown. You see Trubisky hand the ball off to Hood, and he gets stuffed. The clock's still moving here. At this point, Hood needs to get down. You have to know when to surrender and live to fight another day. Luckily for Hood, everyone was alert and lined themselves up quickly, allowing Trubisky to throw the last-second jump ball to Bug Howard, who pulls it in. That's great concentration by Howard to pull it in through the contact. The Heels could have easily rolled over and taken the loss, but they kept fighting. Tons of guys stepped up, but the one guy who deserves the lion's share of the credit for Saturday's win is Ryan Switzer. The senior wideout had 16 catches, which tied Quinshaw Davis's school record for most catches in a single game. Switzer also had a career-high 208 receiving yards. That was nearly half of UNC's passing offense on the day. Oh, and of course, we can't forget about his receiving touchdown as well. Switzer was on a different level on Saturday and has established himself as Trubisky's favorite target. So Carolina has lit up the scoreboards with a lot of touchdowns this year, but the 6 points they're not too proud of are the 3 safeties they've given up in the first 4 games. Yeah, you heard me right. 3 safeties in the first 4 games. Here's head coach Larry Fedora.
I think we're close to setting a national record for safeties. So that's something that I guess, can be proud of. Was it 2 away? Well, we'll work hard to get that, I guess. I've never seen anything like it, actually. So, who was that team? I'm going to have to call Jim and ask him how he did that.
Fedora is referring to 2001 Wake Forest head coach Jim Grobe, whose Demon Deacons set the NCAA record for most safeties given up. They had 5 that season. Hey, coach, let me save you a phone call and tell you what Jim will say. He'll tell you to avoid bad penalties that push their offense to their goal line, and also limit terrible situational play calling. Sorry about that, Larry. Just had to get that out of my system.
Wow, some hot takes from you today, Paul. Speaking of takes, how do you see this week's matchup at Florida State going for Carolina?
Next up for the Heels is a Florida State team still licking its wounds after being embarrassed in Louisville 2 weeks ago. Running back Dalvin Cook is a Heisman candidate, and we all know UNC isn't the best against the run. UNC's best bet is to make redshirt freshman DeAndre Francois throw the ball, as he looked absolutely lost against Louisville. This is going to be an unpopular opinion around here, but I've seen little on the defensive side that makes me think Carolina can handle Cook. I have the Heels being outdueled in Tallahassee in a game that should be an offensive shootout for the ages. Peyton?
Football analyst Paul Beam. Thanks, Paul.
If you've turned on the news or ESPN recently, you probably know about national anthem protests against police brutality. Students here at Carolina have recently joined the movement. Our Parth Upadhyaya has the latest.
Protesters made their feelings known at Saturday's football game. Organizer Jerome Simpson says that contrary to popular belief, he would actually prefer to participate hand over heart.
It's not that we want to disrespect the anthem. It's not that we don't want to stand. We want to stand. But we feel like that this time right now we can't. I love being American. I love the fact that I can use different methods and different modes to project my voice. And in this case, it's by being quiet.
However, other UNC students have varying opinions about the method of protest.
I find it really offensive. 20 years, and I don't think you get shot at every day in order. I think that they're using it as a wrong platform.
It's not about anti-America, anti-police, anti-veterans. This is about police brutality. I want to make that very clear.
And while some students do not black out during football games, they still have similar viewpoints as the protesters.
Seem very controversial, and some people can get easily offended, but at the end of the day, I ultimately think that it is important to pay attention to what they're protesting about versus how they protest.
Although many see this topic as either being a matter of pro or con, the conversation can be much more complex.
Being forced to do a certain thing for the national anthem kind of removes the freedom side from it.
I respect the beginning usage of the actual protest, and now that it's been caused awareness, I feel like the continued protesting is kind of obnoxious and kind of demeaning to our country.
Simpson says he and his group plan to continue protesting at Carolina athletic events until change is seen. In Chapel Hill, I am Parth Upadhyaya reporting.
Look for Simpson and his group to be wearing black for Carolina's next home game against Virginia Tech.
But what if you weren't at the game? Maybe you watched on TV or listened on the radio. If you did tune into the FM station, you heard two new voices. Lex Juarez tells us why.
Listeners are hearing the voices of two Tar Heel greats when they tune into the Tar Heel Sports Network this season. William Henderson and Brian Simmons are taking the place of Ethan Albright on the broadcast, each taking just a handful of games. Play-by-play voice Jones Angel said these two are excellent choices for the program.
We went through a long process of trying to make sure that we found somebody who had some name cachet and who had succeeded in football both here at Carolina and beyond.
Between the two standouts, there are 20-plus years in the NFL, a Super Bowl win, an NFL Man of the Year award, and lots of accolades in Carolina history.
Carolina fans know both of these guys and know that they've both been very successful here at Carolina and then both in the pros.
The experience Henderson and Simmons have from this view of the field is what Simmons says he hopes will show from the press box.
The combination between playing here, obviously, for 5 years and then 10 years of NFL experience, but not only that, being a scout for 7 years have just allowed me to see a lot of football, learn a lot of football, and hopefully I'm able to communicate that well over the radio.
He says his memories as a Tar Heel make it easier for him to relate to the current players.
You know, going through hard things like summer training and spring ball and training camp and just building a bond with those guys and then coming out in front of 50,000 plus every Saturday was a great privilege.
Not only are they good analysts, good football players, but they're good people too, and I think that's neat to add that to our broadcast.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Lex Juarez reporting.
The Heels will be on the road in Tallahassee on Saturday, so fans can hear the new voices then. The field hockey team played two of the best teams in the country this weekend.
When we come back, we show you how the Heels gave them the 1-2 punch. The UNC field hockey team took on #1 ranked Syracuse Friday night in a top 5 matchup for the ages. After this Syracuse shot dribbled in for a 1-0 lead for the Orange, Lauren Moyer scored her 7th goal of the season to tie the game up for the Tar Heels. Moyer scored again in the second half to send the game into overtime, where goalie Alex Halpin made this great save to keep the game alive. Sophomore forward Malene Everett then had this golden goal to knock off top-ranked Syracuse. Head coach Karen Shelton says the Heels have learned a lot about themselves.
To win the game is a huge morale booster for our team, and I know they now know that they belong with the elite in the country, and I think we needed to prove that to ourselves.
The Tar Heels continued to prove that against the Duke Blue Devils in a close match on Sunday. Sophomore midfielder Ava Vantuhoek had a career day for the Heels, scoring a first goal from the left side of the circle, then a second time scoring from mid-circle. This one splitting the Duke goalkeeper's legs. Let's take one more look at that. She turns, she shoots, that one finds boards. The winning goal by freshman forward Afe Anderson. Heels go on to beat those dastardly Devils 3-2.
It was a great weekend at Henry Stadium, and we go live there now to Lindsay Sparrow, who is with one of the stars of this Tar Heels team. Lindsay?
Thanks, Peyton. I'm here with senior Lauren Moyer, who scored 2 goals against Syracuse. So, Lauren, if we flash back 10 months, Syracuse beat you guys in the national championship. How did it feel to get some revenge on them?
Word of the week was redemption. We thought that revenge was a little too strong, kind of too focused on Syracuse, and we really wanted to focus on ourselves and our game plan and how we were going to execute. And ultimately, we focused on ourselves and got the win. So it was awesome. All
right, and so then to top that off, you guys beat Duke, ranked 2 in the nation. Honestly, does that ever get old, beating Duke?
No, definitely not. And having 1 and 2 come to Chapel Hill and sweep them both was just excellent. And, you know, singing the alma mater at the end, go to hell Duke, never gets old.
All right, and so if we look back, this was probably you guys' hardest 2-game stretch of the season. So how do you think that this is going to prepare you guys for the postseason, excuse me?
So yeah, our coach was talking about how this was a Final Four caliber weekend, having, you know, like I said, 1 and 2 visit. You know, Friday was the semifinal, Sunday was the final, and it gives us a lot of confidence going into end of November and just knowing that we belong with the elite in the country.
All right. Well, thanks again. This is Lauren Moyer, and good luck with the rest of the season. Back to you guys in studio.
That's Lindsay Sparrow live at Henry Stadium. Thanks.
On Friday, the 3rd-ranked Carolina men's soccer team played number 16 Boston College in a pretty lopsided affair. The game was scoreless for much of the first half until sophomore Niels Bruning took control. He gets the feed from junior Alan Wynn in the box for the first goal, but Bruning wasn't close to done. He gets his second for the brace, then adds a third for the hat trick, slotting that one in the right post, and a fourth because why not? Wynn rewarded the fans who stuck around with one more beauty of a strike as the Heels grounded the Eagles 5-0.
On Thursday, number 18 Carolina women's soccer hosted number 19 Virginia Tech in a one-sided match. The Lady Tar Heels took control of the Hokies early on and never looked back. Junior midfielder Annie Kingman started off the game with a bang thanks to this bullet of a shot, and goalkeeper Lindsay Harris finished the game with an astounding 10 saves to complete the shutout for the Heels. Freshman striker Bridget Andrzejewski continued the charge in the second half, putting the Hokies away with 2 huge goals. The final score was 3-0. Carolina continued ACC play with a trip to Clemson on Sunday. Check out this assist by freshman Casey Parker off the heel to junior Annie Kingman, who secures the first goal of the game 24 minutes into the first half. But Clemson came back strong, setting up an impressive play after a free kick, sliding past the UNC defense to score on a header. Casey Parker nearly scores one of her own for the Heels, just missing after an attempt to deflect the goalkeeper's ball. The game ended in a 1-1 draw.
The 12th-ranked volleyball team played its first ACC match of the season Thursday at, not our rival, NC State. The Heels pushed the match to 5 sets. Freshman Julia Scholes and senior Taylor Tracy dominated the court with quick kills like this one and savvy kills like that one. It was a tug of war with the Wolfpack, who controlled the second and third sets, but Carolina came back to life in the fourth, ending it with a 25-14 win to force a 5th and final set. Emotions were high in the arena, but not high enough to stop the 15-7 Carolina win, yet another 3-2 set victory for the Heels. UNC left Raleigh with a record of 9-2. And after letting go of a 2-0 match lead against Boston College, Carolina was down a point in the 5th set, but battled back for a 21-19 victory. Taylor Tracy led the team with 15 kills, while Julia Scholes posted her second straight double-double with 14 kills and 12 digs. The next match is Friday at Georgia Tech. Now, Carolina has had a hockey team for 40-plus years.
We show you how the Heels on Steel are getting some much-needed attention next on Sports Extra. More than 700 people gathered at the Old Well Sunday morning for the 5th annual Kilometers for the Kids, one of the many fundraising events the Carolina for the Kids Foundation puts together throughout the year. The Carolina for the Kids Foundation, also known as CFTK, raises money to support the families and children who are in the UNC Children's Hospital. Kilometers for the Kids is the largest fundraiser the group does in the fall. Families, sports teams, and various clubs participated. People began arriving at 7:30 to stretch and put their numbers on before the race started at 9. The CFTK officers love being able to help the kids.
It's absolutely awesome. The mission of Carolina for the Kids is to provide as much support as we can to the patients of UNC Children's and their families at that too. And so it's great to see our cause kind of spread across the Chapel Hill community.
The group raised more than $18,000 and is already preparing for its next event.
After 42 seasons at UNC, the club hockey team now has its own exclusive media organization. Abby Presley tells us about how Carolina Hockey Central is committed to covering everything on and off the ice.
As much as it was about the hockey team and giving kind of a platform to them, it was also about getting some experience for kids who want to maybe do something different with journalism.
The 9 students who make up CHC run equipment from the library to provide a range of segments beyond basic highlights.
We're hoping to have highlights from each game. We're hoping to have consistent stories about the players, give an in-depth look into their lives, a player of the week every week, as well as a regular coaches show.
President of the hockey team, Joe Baglio, said CHC is enriching the experience the team members have.
Really, they have the same vision that we have here, that we can grow this. Hockey is a cool sport. Let's get some people to watch it. So they're really taking care of that.
Trevor Lensmeyer said the commitment each team member has is what makes this team so distinct.
It's not a club sport. It's Carolina hockey. This is all there is here. So, we're going to treat this like a varsity sport.
But full coverage of the Heels on Steel is no small task.
Everything that we're doing is for the first time. We filmed our first coaches show at Benny Capella's on Franklin Street.
For all fans of Tar Heel hockey, there's a common motivation.
That's our goal as kind of that media organization, is just to give people not only Carolina hockey a chance, but the sport of hockey a chance in general.
Sure, so do you sports flex? I'm Abby Presley.
Carolina Hockey Central will join the team Wednesday at PNC Arena in Raleigh as the Heels take on Duke.
With all the success the USA swimming team had in Rio, the Heels are ready to prove they're pretty good in the pool too. It was the blue team against the white team in a preseason scrimmage, and like any other meet, fans were there cheering and the swimmers came to compete. In the end, the white team won, but they all came together afterward, ready for the season ahead. The Heels open up their season at home against Georgia on October 7th.
Now, what sport comes to mind when you think of Carolina athletics? Maybe basketball, football, lacrosse? Donnie Holloway gives us a look at how the UNC Wrestling team is growing in popularity.
When you think of sports at UNC, you might think
basketball, track,
basketball,
soccer.
You might not think of wrestling.
It's a small Olympic sport, just not many people sort of know about it, not many people know we have 2 Olympic medalists on coaching staff here, and we have a 2-time world team member training here to make the Olympic team.
Members of the team staged their annual practice in the Pitt to expose more students to wrestling.
It's good for us as a wrestling program to be out here in the Pitt and just sort of promoting our sport and promoting our brand.
As they promote the program, the wrestlers see it as a way to show people a different side of the sport.
It's a little bit more fun for us, I think, outside, because people get to see what we do on a day-to-day basis rather than just seeing us on competition days. Some people
may not have ever seen wrestling yet. So it's cool to get out there and, show wrestling to, the average student around here.
There's even a Tar Heel Wrestling Club that supports athletes as they compete for world and Olympic championships. The club also provides coaching and training opportunities for wrestlers of all ages. Carolina Wrestling opens its season on November 6th in Virginia. In Chapel Hill, I'm Donnie Holloway reporting.
Now, Coleman says the team looks forward to doing a match in the Pit or the Quad in the future, and he believes this team can win a national title. That would garner some publicity. When we come back, we have to watch it just one more time.
Take one last look at the scenes from Kenan after Saturday's Instant Classic.
We've already talked plenty about this weekend's nail-biting win against Pittsburgh.
Brett Thompson takes us back through one of the best comebacks in recent Kenan Stadium history.
And we back. 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 And we back.
Down snap, Trubisky over the middle. It's Switzer with the catch, first down.
With Kanye, I sound like Andre. Tryna turn my baby mama to my fiance. She like.
Looks like we're having some technical difficulties there. We apologize about that. But Peyton, that was one of the best games in recent memory for Carolina football. It goes up there with Gio Bernard's punt return against State back in 2012. For me, it was one of my favorite games so far being here at UNC. Now, do you have a favorite memory? Were you at the game?
I was at the game this weekend. My dad and I made it out there. My mother had to stay back at Carolina Inn, thought she'd get too hot. But Dad and I ended up finding some seats in the shade, so we were able to stay out through the whole game. Did you make it out?
I did. And I stayed for the whole time, unlike some people who left early. Shame on those people for leaving early. Now, Peyton, do you have a favorite Carolina football memory from growing up?
One time when I was a kid, I tattooed Go Heels on my forehead, and I got my picture taken with a cheerleader. Doesn't sound too exciting, but in the mind of a 10-year-old, it's definitely one of my favorite games.
See, for me, I think I remember more the actual game itself. For you, maybe the painting up, the cheerleaders.
You know, it's the event itself. It's what's made the game. That's really, I think, what made the game is what you did leading up to it.
Well, that does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.